I
Yeah.
spent half my time sleep matters without lean and the second half with lean. The only thing that changed was my mindset. Nothing else changed. I
Yeah.
never heard of culture before. I didn't know anything about it. We never spoke about it. We just spoke about chairs and getting them out the door and make sure the customer's happy. But never focused on improvement time. Never focused on people's ideas. And that's why the factory was so chaotic. Why Ryan was
Mm.
stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once I went to Japan, I never thought to see him again since. I said in one of them books one day with Ryan that my brain was left in Japan. My old brain, like I'm a complete different person now. Like before, it was all about working and getting a number of the door, get it finished. It wasn't about the people. I didn't connect with them at all as a production manager. I was just, "Is that finished yet? That needs to go today. You can't go home, that's done." It was all putting the parts in the cars easy, but getting the parts of the cars the hard part. People are not good at action. People
Mm.
will talk about doing stuff, but not do it. Don't put in a list and start it in 2 weeks' time. Get a bit of cardboard, get something, get a bit of metal, start something now and start it and show them the energy as you're behind them. It's very important to follow that up. We were telling them not to work, which was not normal for people. So the
Yeah.
thinking was,
Yeah.
I work on my stuff and you work on your stuff, but all these improvements come along and started working together then, all called improvement time. So the improvements started to change, and one big thing that ran to change was, but within a year, factory was, you wouldn't know it, things just got so much better from the improvements. And that's the byproduct of doing all the ideas from everybody, because the long-term effect of it is everything gets better.
This is an official welcome to Declan McKeever. He's joined us all the way from Ireland. It's 7 o'clock in the morning there, so thank you for getting up early. So just a bit of a brief background before we get started. Declan started his lean journey at Seating Matters with Ryan Tierney. He was at Seating Matters for 13 years, and 2.5 years ago he jumped ship and onto SDC trailers, and he's been working there since and implementing a lean program there. So certainly looking forward to listening to Declan's insights and learning what's worked at Seating Matters and also what he's taken from there into his journey. So yeah, thanks very much for joining us, Declan.
All good. Okay, so just want to start off with some pictures from the very start and how it all started. Before improvement time got really introduced and the real way. So obviously this is St. Matter's early days, overproduction at its finest, as you can see, before we met Paul Akers. We bought in a pile of frames, we got them all painted, outsourced in our supplier. We brought them all in, and we spent most Saturdays counting the frames, make sure we have enough frames for the week ahead. Materials just sat on top of racks. Well, we half organized this stage, but again, this is all even before the lean journey started. But one thing about the lean journey was trying to say in the book was interest and improvement time. But when that was introduced, there was also the morning meetings that started. So this is our first morning meetings. You can see our first wee box here. It says enter your ideas here. So this was the first gathering ideas from the team members for where we make improvements. Before we were just doing everything sporadic. People were just way doing stuff F here, there, everywhere. But we started getting a bit of control and started to work on improvements that they wanted to do. So again, this is an hour meeting here. You can see in the background there the wee blue board as well with post notes on it. So we moved the morning meeting area down to the shop floor, and we actually have a board here now with before to-do lists and after lists. Again, we moved from that onto the improvement wall, improvement tracker. This was the very first one we made. It was a metal bit screwed to the wall. We designed the improvement cards, and then we got the girls' names from the sewing room onto it, because just so they could put their ideas together. And then once we started to learn and get the ideas, the better improvements started to come. So you see these used to come in from supplier. We'd spend time counting that. Again, not needed. We didn't make an improvement here. What was the improvement? So during improvement time, we would start implementing bigger ideas like this. And some of the improvements during the day would actually go on all day. So some people were full time improving, and some people were improving during improvement time only. Again, you can see I went from boxes like this to half organized into color coded boxes of different sizes. We moved from that into workstations because again there was no place to build these parts. Again, this is our wee board. If you've seen St. before, there's a wee board here for all the different belts. There's that many belts, no one knew what size they were. You just went and cut them randomly if when needed. Paul and part of the improvement team was making this board accessible. Everybody in the sewing room could tell what belt they needed. But when doing all these improvements, you'll see a big change here in improvement time, because we started studying these different types of books. 2 second lean, teach you know, two it away. We just effort changeover. All the different way of thinking really changed our improvements. So you'll see the jigs are starting to come up now, starting to make a place to make stuff. had everything organized, a place for the offcuts. Again, the offcuts didn't matter to us because we didn't need them, but it did. They were very important. Everything started to change. We made instead of going down the stairs all the time, bring up and down parts. We put a slide in to move the parts up and down the slides. So the improvements started to change, and one big thing around to change was we put a full-time person into making labels. So you'll see the factory starting to change here gradually. JB also brought the design team out to the shop floor because that many improvements. They were just being bombarded every day, and then improvements to the factory. You see the racking, the labels, everything's starting at a more high level, and big changes started to happen because the improvement time was getting more intact for everybody. So that's just a quick introduction there of what happened at Seed Monitors at the start for me.
How did you feel about the changes when they first started coming in?
It was very, very challenging because I remember Ryan coming one day to do the very first video and first improvement, and I was putting all the wheels from the cardboard boxes into the green box you see around the factory, so you could just see what wheels there was because so many different types, and we ran out of them all the time. But there was never a thought process of we must improve to make it better. Improvement back then was buy more, so we ended up buying couple of pallets off them relying on fixing the problem. So that was the big challenge for me back then. I was like, what, why are we doing this for? What's the point? Then we started to learn the whole the culture of improving and bringing ideas and fixing them.
Yeah, and a full-time label maker, that's pretty intense.
It was yet. So at the very start, Ryan really had his eyes on his goal that we can do so much more here if we start organizing the factory. And I think there's maybe four people at one time was full time every day improving. I was one of them. There was another guy, Paul. He was full in charge of like making everything. He was very good with his hands, very skillful, worked all the machines. Sometimes you had a girl from the sewing room making stuff. It just there's sometimes 3 and 4 people all times, constantly improving. If production allowed, if production was really busy, they were back into work again if needed.
Yeah, one of the things I was reading in the book was in relation to the key team members. Like, how many members were there at Seating Matters at the time, and why wasn't everybody involved to begin with?
Very, very start, it was very sporadic. We started at improvement time, as we did with the book, 2 second lane from Paul Akers, and we had people everywhere doing everything. There was improvements being unimproved, and then we were like, we need to really, really get control of this. We want the people's ideas to be done, but we want them to be done in a controlled manner that their improvements are actual good improvements. So that's where I started from. So that's where the boards come in. For the boards, it was just improvement time, and we're just running around everybody. What are you working on today? Oh, I'm working on this year. Oh, really? Okay, that's great. Me and Ryan spent more time just going on everybody in the mornings, but as you can imagine, it was quite chaotic because there were between 40 and 50 people making the improvements. There's only 2 or 3 of us running around trying to manage it all, so we need to get a better system in place.
Yeah, I suppose you ended up having clash of ideas sometimes.
Yeah, there's people who are doing improvements based on somebody else's improvement, which was their improvement, maybe unimproving it, which was a bad thing too, but we didn't know because we had no WhatsApp group, we had no controlled ideas, so it was a big stepping stone for us.
After being at Seating Matters for 13 years, you've moved on. Tell us about that journey and what led you to move away and the step that you're on now.
Yeah, so I'm actually at a company just beside my home now. I'm only a couple of mile away from where I live. Before I was traveling 40, 50 minutes a day up to St. Matters.
Yeah.
So it was a big change for me personally. My family, I've now 3 young kids. So back then it mattered when I had two. So the third child was coming and the opportunity came up to for this big adventure happening next to each other. There was a lot of investment happening here, a lot of changes happening. And Ryan had been chatting to one of the owners, one of the main men at the SEC, and I had an opportunity to help with them and they approached Ryan to help them. And my name came into the equation to come over and see if I could help them. And then ended up working out that this worked out better to work here full time.
Yeah, fantastic. Been looking at the LinkedIn with Ryan Tierney, and he's keen to make Ireland the next Japan. And I suppose spreading you guys out now into different companies is helping you achieve that dream.
Yeah, so it's Paul Akers' book is Grow and Develop People, and that's something that Ryan really, really believes in. And you look at that, we're not there now in Seat Manager, but Seat Manager is getting better by the day because the culture he's built and by the training process he has and his people. So it doesn't matter who's there; it's they're all learning the same stuff, and the improvements keep coming.
Okay, so what does improvement time look like at SCC Trailers? Is it the same as Seating Matters?
No, completely different in a different way, but in a good way. Obviously, we're a very large site, very large company. You can't go around doing improvement time of 600, 700 people. You have to make sure it's very controlled. So we have again doing what Ryan done at the start, and Seed Monitor starting with a group of people, between 30 and 40 people that we think really get and working with them first. And we're doing where the whole company stops at 11 o'clock. That's for 10 minutes. So we're still starting small, but we do have people full time working on improvements all day. It's kind of like seat matters, but just in a different aspect.
So you got people working full time on improvements at the SDC. How many
Yeah,
people did you say are
I'm one of them,
working in the company?
and yeah,
Six or
between
seven
six to seven
hundred.
hundred people.
Wow. Okay, that's huge.
Yeah,
If you had the opportunity to start from scratch with a very small team, because obviously we get a range of different people who are working with different size companies. Like,
yeah.
would you insist that in a small company everybody's involved?
I'll again start with a small group, 3 or 4 people, like Ryan did with us. They got 3 or 4 people involved at the very start and really, really educated them that much that we were overflowing with information and to pass it on to others. Because Ryan couldn't grow everybody himself, but others could grow and help Ryan towards what he thought. So he taught us everything he wanted us to know. And then we were able to go into different departments and bring that thinking to them. Very small team first and then build it up after that. That's the way we done it. And doing the same thing here is we're trying to do is try and start with a small team and grow it. Make example there is same we done with Jack Bussey, like just trying to really showcase people what can be done. And the same building as our people are working where they're doing it the old way. Yeah, it's going good. Again, there's places we haven't touched yet and there's places we have touched, and you can see the difference that we've made the improvements where people's thinking has changed. They are working more efficiently, they're working a bit more happier and less struggle. So that's what all matters.
Yeah, is there any learnings from your journey now that you'd like to, share with us
Yeah, one
before?
big thing is probably like obviously everybody relates to seat matters and lean made simple. That's the new philosophy, the new way of thinking. But I think the big thing is that can't be applied as easy in every company because you have to learn it first. You have to go see seat matters. You have to. So I've been a seat matter. I've worked there. And could I do everything exactly the same year? No, I can't. But you can lots and lots of that here. So I'm trying to learn myself in a big company how that works. I worked in a company with seat matters was for 60, 70 people, but bringing everything I had from there to here doesn't work. I need to change. Like you look at the two way, you look at the way John Deere operate. There's a Volvo production system. There's all these different ways of thinking, but it's all catered to suit that company. So you have to try and take what you can from different people. Like when we were doing it, and Ryan was out learning, like we were learning from Chuck and in the ditch, we're learning from Paul Akers, learning from Michael Alatoff, Alex Ramirez. Like learning from all these different people and different ways of thinking to try and create what works for you.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that because it's not just a rigid, this is the way that it must be done. And if you're not doing it this way, then it's not right. Being intelligent about it and going, okay, this is what's
Yeah,
going to work in this company, and
yeah, it's
then
very important.
working and running with it from there. As you said, it's that journey of growth in each one of us and growth to be able to go, hey, this is not working. What's the next best way to improve?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I had Phil, you up first with some questions. So I might hand it over to you.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, thanks, Dicky. Hey, question I've sort of got you around improvement. So if you listen to Paul's book, which I have, we get the impression that, we want everybody making, small improvements every single day. But in a big company, like sometimes, how do I put it? You mentioned earlier that you have, and City Matters have full-time improvement people, which are probably really good at making the physical improvements and doing the improvements and that side of things.
hmm
What I'm trying to do is get everybody making improvements, and they're perhaps not so much making great improvements, and they put all the effort into it, but they might not have the skills. And we're trying to, I guess, push them into making these improvements every day, as opposed to what I'm just starting to hear, what you're talking about now, and also from Ryan's book, that hey, maybe only having a few slick people who can make those improvements.
Again, Kaizen's a Whipple. So whenever you have a Kaizen member, what the concept is they work with the person on the line. So that person on the line's job is to process making the cars all day, but they stop the line, they come up with an idea. That's handed over to the improvement team technically in the Toyota factory, and they fix that or make that improvement for them because the line has to keep going. Like there's no improvement time in the total line, but them guys are taught how to come up with ideas, but they're also given time if they are able to make the improvement themselves. They do it alongside the Kaizen team. So they do balance it very well. If someone doesn't have the skill set to do it, Choda would probably help you teach them and have them involved. But same matters, we on the same. If Beverly the sewer come up with an idea, we would do it with her. We'd get her to okay it. We would show her the first draft of the concept, the design, make sure she's happy. We go in and make it, bring it back. That's why we done it. But that's everyone's different.
And I guess hold them really high up here as, the excellent gold standard. Looking at all the videos and everything they do, looks at it's done at such a high level,
hmm
almost perfection. how important is it sort of, I guess, to have the improvements, like I'll say a high quality improvement as opposed to just getting a bit of cardboard and a hot glue gun or
Yeah.
scrap timber and you've cobbled something together that might function well, but if someone else comes in, looks at it and goes, oh man, that doesn't look that great.
Well, the first idea is always the worst idea, which is again, it's the same, but the most important idea. So anytime we were making things, we lost the cardboard from the boxes for the chairs. So we used cardboard a lot to start something. And if we were happy with the design concept, then we would hand over to the design team where they would design something out of metal or out of plastic or get it outsourced. But we always did start off with a rough looking template, something to get it going, because something must be started now. Don't put in a list and start it in 2 weeks' time. Get a bit of cardboard, get something, get a bit of metal, start something now and start it and show them the energy that you're behind them. Because it's very important to follow that up. Because if the board's full of improvements, you don't do them, the ideas don't come afterwards. So it's very, very important to keep igniting that all the time. Which is hard work. That's why you need someone involved all the time following it up.
Thanks, Phil. I really like the idea of those rough cardboard templates to begin with
Hmm.
because, it is that continuous improvement. So you're like, oh, yeah, this is great. This is doing that job. The next improvement is going, hey, we could make this look even better. Not only
Yeah,
make it functional, but make it look awesome too.
Declan, I got to say that was really, really powerful seeing those images of where City Matters began. Because our exposure, if you're only watching the latest videos, is that it's almost like it's always been that way. So thank you very much for sharing that. When first implementing improvement time, what's the best way to direct people's focus? Should individuals, groups concentrate on specific areas, e.g. a workspace or a
yeah,
process, or a single element and just say, like, we're just going to start basic, let's just get sorting under control for this week, and we'll
yeah,
move on to standardize, or if we start at the beginning of
yeah.
sweep, what's sort of the best way to sort of get the team engaged
Well,
in
again,
improvement time?
at the very, very start, we started with just where can we improve? That was the wording. Where can we improve? People were just, oh, we can improve this, but it didn't really need improved. The mindset was like, oh, we need to improve it. We're telling you to improve it now, so go improve something. And that's where
Mm,
we started going sporadically. But then we were reading the book, can't remember what book it was, but it was like, improve what you need to improve. What needs
yes.
improved for the customer? Because we're all
Yeah.
building products for the customer. So what needs
Yeah.
improved for the customer? So going back
Yep.
to the emails and there's complaints coming from the customers, oh, this was wrong, or I'm missing the parts, this wheel wasn't put on tight, all these issues were coming from the customer. So we need to start fixing these so people were improving the process towards the customer. Because again, the customer was an important person here. Whether it's
Mhm.
internal customer or external customer, customers need to work on your improvements around them. And that's where your standardization comes. Oh, so we have a problem going to the customer. Yes, so we must make a standard work for that. So we do that right every time. Then that's an improvement for somebody in the improvement time. So you can start managing the improvement time better from your problems.
Mm.
Or if tools
Oh,
are going missing in the factory, okay, this week we're doing full CS. We're going to label every tool in the factory, but everybody's doing it. So everybody's
mm.
focused towards the one problem. So not some guy in the corner working on a jig, something if it doesn't really need right now, but
Yes.
we're all working on something that's high priority for everybody.
G'day, Dickie. Thanks for joining us
Everyone
today.
heard
Declan, my first question is basically when I read the chapter and introduced improvement time, for me, I always thought that was 3S time. So, how is 3S
mm-hmm.
different to improvement time?
CS time and improvement time is all the one. It's all in the same improvements. So we created the ownership areas and the ownership lists. So if someone didn't have an improvement, you would go to your ownership area and you would improve something. Because when someone didn't have an improvement, they went back to work. And we didn't want that. We wanted stuff to get better. We wanted people to start doing improvements. But whenever you started doing your 3S and of your ownership area, you were going to come up with an improvement because something was wrong. So if you started cleaning your desk, all the cable fell down. I must get a hand to hold the cable up. Their improvements are coming from their 3Sing. So when Paul taught you 3Sing, you're FreeSing to find abnormalities in the work area or your workstation or in your computer. And whenever you find them, then you make an improvement. So you have to start FreeSing first and then the improvements come. That's the concept. That's what we worked off
Oh,
anyway. It was like FreeSing and improvement times all the one.
so it's not two different things. It's just because you said you had a specific team that would work on improvements. So you
Yeah,
saying people did 3Sing and maybe they came up with a problem and said, I don't know how to fix this. They
yeah,
put the idea up on a card and that card would
uh-huh.
go on the board and eventually the
Yes.
improvement group with the
Yeah,
improvement manager would be able to tackle those harder level two kind
yeah,
of improvements. Is that right?
yeah. Like level one, you try and go ahead and do them yourself, but level two, level three, eventually you would get on board the improvement team to come and help you because you need support to do that. Again,
Mm.
everybody's usually yes first, but there's people that are at a higher level. They were making the improvements for the people who come up with ideas. So that's how their
Mm.
day were spent. But once you drop to the essence soups, you end up all these ideas everywhere and you need people to put them.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah. So that's where the boards are important. And did you guys find in the
Board's important, yeah.
beginning people didn't know what to improve or how to improve things in 3S? They were just sweeping the floors and stuff.
Yeah, they didn't. Just sweeping, people just brushes and people cleaning up everywhere. And the place was still dirty because they didn't know how to clean properly. So every time something happens, every time you come into interaction with someone, it's a teaching and training opportunity. So when you have a scenario where someone's not doing something right, it's like you need to talk to them and coach them because that's what all tutor do. They ask good questions, and so you can't give them answers. You have to go and ask the correct question. They answer it for you. Like, yes, that's a good idea. We should do that. They come up with it. You just ask the question that they come up with the idea. If you tell them what to do, you're losing all the thinking. So it's very, very important that you ignite that flame in them, come up with ideas.
What was your role? Because you say you were one of the improvers. What was your role in the beginning?
So when I first started, I started out just cutting wood in the wood area. I was just like a joiner, carpenter, and then I was moved from there to the sewing department to help with a bit of sewing and cutting material. Started doing a bit of foam. I went through the whole factory and learned every process, and then eventually become a production manager. But then once Ryan found lean, he comes to me one day and says, "Declan, I'm changing your role." And I goes, "Well, what am I changing to?" He goes, "You're going to be full-time improvement." I was the first person. And I wasn't
Right.
happy. I was like, I didn't really understand it yet. It was so new to me. I thought, oh, production's important. He goes, no, you're reacting to the customer's order. I need you to be proactive to the customer's order. We're reacting to the problems the customer's telling us about. We need to go
Yeah.
back and fix the problem before the customer finds them. So we need to start making jigs. We need to start color coding the tools. We need to make sure we have there's a safe. We need to make sure that people are doing the correct work. Make sure that we have stock of materials because we're firefighting every day trying to find stuff. So I was full time focused on helping 50 people pick their jobs before no one, they were just doing half an hour improvement time in the morning meeting and back to work again. There was no one following up all these things. So you needed people to manage all these things to get them over the line because if not, 10 minutes every day it won't get you anywhere too quick. You need to make sure the
Mm.
stuff finished today. And that may bring in a subcontractor, bring in an electrician, bring in a plumber, bring in someone to do hydraulics, bring in, whoever you need to get something over the line. And that's why you'll see the matters transition so quick because the power was there to go and do it now. I can't wait till next week, and he's done this week. And that you go to
Yeah.
Toyota and teach and he's done today, not tomorrow. You know, that's the thinking, that's the philosophy.
Mm. And you said in the beginning that you didn't like that role change. What changed in your
It
mind?
was all new to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once I went to Japan, Ryan took me and JB to Japan. I never thought to see him again since. I said in one of them books one day with Ryan that my brain was left in Japan, my old brain, like a complete different person now. Like before, it was all about working and getting a number at the door, get it finished. It wasn't about the people. I didn't connect with them at all as production manager. I was just, it's not finished yet. That needs to go today. You can't go home, that's done. It was all like we were ruling them to get stuff done for the day, but it wasn't good for the culture. But then we came back to
Mm.
Japan, and first thing Ryan done, remember he came back, he knocked down all the walls in the office. It was our first
Mm.
job, we knocked down all the walls because everybody's one level here. The factory and office aren't different. And then, as it showed that picture, JB started to move his office out to the factory. So that
Mm.
come a real openness where people can go and ask for improvements. It's not into the
Yeah.
door, into the oven, ask someone, can you help me? Where people felt it was a hassle for them. Ryan removed all that there for everybody and made us all one big open playing field and changed it to, we didn't wear uniforms that time either. Then we got uniforms, everybody looked the same. We're all part of the one team. So that was very,
Right.
very big changes.
And that was a mindset from Japan, right? Where everybody is wearing the
Definitely.
same, everybody's cleaning the toilets, everybody's doing the same thing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
never heard of culture before. I didn't know anything about it. We never spoke about it. We just spoke about chairs and getting them out the door and make sure the customer's happy and make sure the factory was working. But never focused on improvement time, never focused on people's ideas, never thought to ask anybody for the ideas because we didn't know about it. And that's why the factory was so chaotic. Why Ryan was
Mm.
stressed out. Then he
Mm.
found 2 second lean and the light bulb moment happened and everything changed from there.
Where was the tipping point where you started seeing, wow, improvement time is actually working? Us like getting dedicated people doing this work tip the scales of now we're getting on top of things. We're being proactive instead of reactive. How long is that in a time frame kind of thing?
Sometimes there's problems happening every day, and we'd put a fix in. And before we were putting sticky plasters on things all the time, and the problem just kept arising all the time because Ryan had the power to go and use right people to come and fix the issues was a very important thing. Like some people didn't know where to go to get something fixed, and the problem just stayed for weeks and weeks and weeks. But then we started getting good at fixing the improvements, and things started to get better. But within a year, factory was you wouldn't know it. It was like the lead time was actually we had a lead time before we didn't know when lead time was going to be. It could be 3 to 6 weeks. They were down the days. Things started to change. We could tell the customer when the chair was leaving. We knew the chair wouldn't be built wrong. Things just got so much better from the improvements. And that's the byproduct of doing all the ideas from everybody because the long term effect of it is everything gets better.
One of the things which you mentioned, which came up before, is you had some people who would go out from a morning meeting and then go straight back to work rather than doing 3S time or going in straight doing improvements. How did you say you dealt with that?
So again, not straight away, just let it happen and then gradually pull them all in because you don't want to do the scare them all off and put them like not to improve anything. So you want to make sure and go in. So one thing I did one time, Ryan sent me into the sewing room, and the girls were doing all the sewing, and they're very hard to come up with ideas because they worked in factories for years, and this concept of come up with ideas was just no, I'm going to keep working, and to keep working. So I actually sat in there with them. I sat in the chair beside the sewing room, and every time I seen something, I pointed out an opportunity for them for an improvement because they couldn't see it. They didn't know how to see the improvements. They were just so focused on doing the work, and they nearly felt bad not working. So
Yeah.
we were telling them not to work, which was not normal for people because people go to work, they think they have to work, but we're asking, we want you to think, and then the work will be easier. So we
Yeah.
sat in the sewing room, and I didn't know sewing at all the time, but I started to learn sewing and the process of sewing. But like everything you do, like teaching talks about it in the book, like putting the parts in the car is easy, but getting the parts of the car is the hard part. In the sewing room, you have to bring the material to the sewers. You have to go get your bobbins, all your threads, all your different materials. You have to go and do different things. The girls just thought that was part of their job, but there's some improvements to be made here. The sewing machine wasn't long enough. The material got falling off the back. The girls then suggest to make the sewing tables bigger. So the manufacturers actually sell a small sewing table, so we made it longer, the materials don't fall off the back. Then they made a wee buckets and all to hold all their tools, and like they weren't getting up all the time anymore. They weren't struggling for the materials needed. Everything was at hand. So once they started to see this, started to ignite ideas into them, and they come up with more ideas, and this was a snowball effect. They just come up with more and more and more and more stuff. But again, it's very important to sit with them and educate them rather than tell them what to go and do.
Just on that, obviously people are working in their areas and you sitting in there going, oh, what about this or what about that? Did anyone find that confronting?
No, because they knew the time what we were trying to do. Other parts of the factory had moved on, and you'd have seen improvements were happening in different places because people picked it up sooner than others. Where maybe the sewing room was lacking because girls didn't understand it yet, but it was up to us to teach them. So again, asking good questions, not telling them what to do, but asking them, "Oh, do you have to get up all the time to go get that?" I do, but it's actually really annoying. Oh, we could fix that for you. So it's just that type of way of talking to them, and then you got them on board, and it created a better culture in the sewing room because it wasn't all about me getting my work done. It was about the team getting the work done, and the team getting ideas, and the team getting better. I remember at the very start, the sewers all sewed material by themselves. Then we changed it; they all worked on the one piece together. So one took an arm, a left arm, one took a right arm, and one took a back. So all started working on the one chair together. Before it was a chair each. So the
Yeah,
thinking was
yeah.
I work on my stuff and you work on your stuff, but all these improvements come along and started working together then. All goes improvement time.
Declan, you mentioned there that you had the four full-time improvers, and then when production picked up, that they would come back and start working on the floor. Could I just ask from a practical perspective, what would be the cue that, okay, we need to jump back onto production? My fear there for me, and I need to get over that, is I've been assigned to improvements today, and then yeah, an urgent order's come in. Sorry, guys, we're going to have to get this. Obviously, I'm very focused on the customer, but is there
Yeah.
something more to that?
So we also have just tack time, which the chair is built every 26 minutes that time, say, okay. And that means finishing a certain time of the day. But if we wanted to remove people, we would increase the tack time. So we knew people could manufacture so many chairs at a certain capacity of what the people they had. So we brought the tack time up and down if and when needed to suit the improvement time. So if there's big projects needed, the tack time went down to really as fast as possible, if we could put it, so we could take people out and work more full time on projects, or we would put it our way if there was no orders, and the tack time would get longer, sorry, and then people would be pulled out of the process and they'd be put in the full time improvement. So keeping everybody busy rather than go ahead of production. Production always maintain a certain level, was kept people in work, and then people are pulled out of that and put into projects and for improvement time or improvement all day, should I say?
Okay, wow, I didn't expect that. That's a very interesting concept. And I did, maybe now I understand that a little bit. I did see when in the factory it was, for example, 16 chairs per day.
That's right, yeah.
But so you move that up and down depending on,
Yeah.
right,
So
okay.
say it was quiet with orders, they would do
Yep.
14 a day. That
Okay.
means there's an hour spare in the day. So move the tack
Okay.
time and then
Yep.
pull a couple people out. But then people
Right.
are going out to improve something. Where's the problem?
Okay.
So they're going to work on a certain project, or so that's how we managed it.
You've got basically one type of product that comes off that entire line. Say we've got multiple different products, almost like 10 smaller lines. Maybe
Yeah,
we'd need to figure out what our tack time was for each product and figure out how many of each product we'd need to be building per
yeah,
day and then work backwards from there, which would be quite a calculation, but I understand that.
yeah.
Okay.
So also one of the jobs you on the very start was I spent, I don't know, maybe weeks working out tack time around and getting every single process synced to the very end. So you start at the very end, which is the chair being invoiced. So you want to invoice the customer every 20 minutes. Then you
Yep.
work your way back through your whole process, and that tells you how your factory should operate and how many people you need, because it's dictated by the customer demand. If the customer
Mm.
demands, I must get a chair invoiced every 20 minutes, then your whole factory has to be in sync to that. Might mean 10 people in the welding area, but one person in the checking area. That whole tack time dictates your business. Work
Yep.
backwards.
Okay.
Tack time, you really can start knowing the time it takes to build a process. Then you know if
Mm.
that person needed there or not. And then you
Yep.
work solely from the production side of things. Production next week's building 100. Okay, you need everybody to this weekend, yes, but what if we make improvements to this part was taking a lot of time? We can take the people back again. So it shows you where you need to improve as well, because you want to keep them people out of production as much as possible. And wherever they pull them into is where you need help.
All right, Sean's got a question, so I'll pass on over to Sean.
Yeah, thanks, Declan, for joining us. So, coming from Seating Matters to the new company, was that a blank canvas, or had they already started their journey, or did you just
We
walk in with
had,
zero action already started? Or
yeah, they probably had started a couple years ago because a couple of guys who have been here had been to Seat Matters. They seen me in Seat Matters, so they knew of what Seat Matters had done. So I say maybe 15 people here had been up for tours whenever I worked at Seat Matters. So they had seen the philosophy, seen the way we think, and but didn't know how to implement it properly because it's such a hard thing to do in a big company. And again, we're still struggling to do it here, but we are still focused on doing it. But it was they did have a bit of a started, but it has started and stopped and started and stopped and has stopped again. Then I've come on and tried to help them again. But again, it's all about the team trying to push it on, Sean. So first thing I do when I come here is send as many people as I could to see matters to get embraced with that culture, that thinking. So they're all on the same level of seeing what I seen. So I tell them these things, but they don't know what I'm thinking. But I can show them. That's why Ryan keeps saying we're very lucky to have somewhere so close to go and see. Whereas we had to travel the world to go and see all these things. There's actually a place now half an hour up the road which you can go and visit.
Yeah, just being up the road is so good, eh?
Yeah, it's very, very important. That's why you need to build your own company in Australia where people can come and see and they're the people that teach and train everybody else and somewhere to showcase. Because you need that place to learn from. Like we went to Fast Cap, minds were blowing, went to Japan, in the Dutch, probably one of the best companies in the world at Lean. And but he doesn't do social media, but it's mind blowing.
yeah, we're just starting out on our lean journey, very, very fresh. I listened to everybody's stories about it being, yeah, they'll have a number of goes at it, and they'll go away, and then they'll come back again, or it'll
Yeah.
take 2 years, 3 years to really push the barrow until it really kicks in. Manage a staircase company, and up until this point, for the 5 years, we've just been installing, and we have other branches that do the manufacturing. But
Hmm.
we're now going into manufacturing ourselves, producing our own product. So we've tripled the size of our factory. We're about to triple the size of our workforce. And I've thrown in the lean journey into everyone's pockets to do the whole thing. And it's I think it's become a little bit overwhelming for a few of them. So I've
Yeah,
got to pull back a little bit. Think what you're saying about just having a couple of people just slowly start on the improvements and show them what's possible will be the way to go, which
yeah.
is really good to hear.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's what I would recommend because you get too many people involved doing too many things, and your full-time job is managing all them people. Where if you can create a CS system and create CS charts and ownership bears, that keeps everybody maintaining a clean factory and come up with an idea system, and then you have someone to implement the ideas. But yeah, in high
Yeah,
level, level threes, level twos, but level ones are go ongoing all the time. But start with a small team. Don't start with everybody. If you can't, if you're a big company, a lot of people start with a small group and work your way up.
Declan, what's your advice here? Because we're all in different stages. Some of us have been doing it for a long time and just haven't built the momentum on. What is it that about our mindset that we need to change when it comes to improvement? That you see that people make a lot of mistakes when it comes to improvements.
I think people are too focused on the production side, which is very important, yes, because you need to make your product or whatever it is, but people don't set time aside to do it, which is it's a big ask for any company to dedicate time to doing this. Again, Ryan done it with a couple of people full time, and then a lot of people doing the culture part at the very start of the day was getting the mindset going and getting ideas
Mm,
going. But it is that leap of faith, knowing that I'm going to stop this now. I'm going to take people out and do this, but you need to make sure you set time aside to doing the improvements. It's going to cost money. It's going to be a lot of investment, but you need to make sure that you have your head on that I'm doing this and I know it's going to work. Because people are so like, "Oh, I don't know, waste the money. I might not work, but like you look at any of them books there, they all done stuff. They trialed it, they tested it. You just need to do
mm,
stuff this week, today. Just try something because some people are like, oh, that's a really good idea. I must get around to doing that sometime, and it's never done. People are not good at action. People
mm.
will talk about doing stuff, but not do it. And we
Yeah.
create lists and we have all these things on the computers and we're going to get around to doing these lists. We spend more time managing the lists. There's no one on the Gamba. Paul gets off it all the time. You must be on the Gamba. When that Gamba is your computer or your Gamba's in the factory. If you need to get somebody else to replace you in the office, if you have a factory, you should be on the Gamba because that's where all the problems are at. That's where all the work
Yeah.
is being done. That's where the value's being added. You need to be on the Gamba. So most of my time's on the Gamba, because
Mm,
that's where the work's done. That's where the improvements come from. And that
mm,
directly affects the customer. So you need to be on the
mm,
gamba. You need to understand the process. 'Cause you can't improve anything if you don't understand the process. And if the company
mm,
owner or like Ryan was in the business, in the middle of it, he knew everything was going on about the factory, and then he could make decisions on we should buy that, or will people come to
mm,
him saying, "Well, we should do this, but do we really need it?" So as
mm.
a leader, you really need to understand where your gamba is and be honest and be in it a high percentage of your time.
So basically, what you're saying is, you're working in your job versus working on your job. So working in your job is
Yes.
just doing the work, but you need to
Yeah.
actually separate working on it. Like, how am I working on this process of whatever I'm doing, right? And being able
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
comfortable with making enough blocking out time to work on it and not being scared because you're working in it. You're
Yeah.
chasing your tail trying to do stuff, but it's getting to that point where that tipping point where you get all your orders out that you need to get, and you make yourself time. And I think you mentioned that before, that as you improve, you get more time back. You basically invest and you get
Yeah.
your time back to be able to invest again and then get time
Yeah.
back again. And then things
Yeah.
ramp up because you're doing so good. Your production is gonna be you have to increase
Yeah.
because your customers are gonna demand. So it's this whole balance act, right? It's very challenging.
It is a whole balancing act, yeah. Once you
Mm,
know it and you really believe it and you read all the right books and you or with the right people, they'll tell you the same thing. Just do it. It's going to work. But you have to have that belief it's going to work. If you don't think it's going to work, it won't work. You need to believe it's going to
mm,
work,
mm.
and it will because once you start surrounding yourself with good people like this and you learn from other people, you come up with good ideas, but you need action them. You have all these good ideas in the world, but you need to make sure you're doing them. That's what Uno
Action.
talks about in the books. They need action, 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 action. He's done today. Get the cardboard, get the plywood, get the drill, you might know how to do it, but you'll learn. And that's the
Yeah, on
best
the
way.
way.
And when people see you on the Gamba making improvements, they'll start generating more improvements and more energy and good culture.
Thanks, Declan. I love that phrase at the end there. You need to be on the Gemba. That's really important for us to be able to get out there, be involved in our businesses, and just make it happen. Thank you, Declan, so much for getting up early, spending this time with us. I hope it's been a really learning opportunity for everyone who's been online.
It's very hard to do something if you don't have the tools to make them. It's very, very difficult.
Did you guys use WhatsApp from the beginning, or how did you do what Paul did and took people around, or
I'm not even sure if WhatsApp was out at that stage. I think when we started, WhatsApp was just a new thing for us, and we didn't have a WhatsApp group. I remember Ryan making one and being, oh my goodness, a WhatsApp group, what's this for? I think Paul Akers had told him about WhatsApp, and it was just this whole game changer. But then again, people didn't want to be in a group chat before because work's a work thing. So all these pictures coming in about improvements, people didn't like it. But again, it's
yeah,
just over time, people get used to it, and it's a new way of doing things, and it's part of the job now.
yeah.
But I was really, really big change.
At what point did, you go to Japan and see what's happening? How long had you gone from that period?
So I
Yeah.
spent half of my life as St. Matters without lean, and the second half with lean. So I'd seen all the bad stuff, and then this whole transition of good stuff. And the only thing that changed was my mindset. Nothing else changed, But I was half the time was with and without.
And so that mindset changed. When did that happen? Was that going to Japan, or was it, like Ryan came back and said, "Hey, this
Japan,
is what we're doing, guys. I've read this book," to when
yeah.
you clicked in your mind and said, I get this.
I'd say after Japan, time we come home, we started knocking the wall. It's all these ideas. We were in the plane on the way home, and we must have had a book full of stuff. We were just writing all these ideas down and stuff. We need to change. We need to do this. We need to do that because we wanted action things for being on the
Yeah.
trip. And when we were at Paul Akers, it was all to the second. Everything was dialed in. We didn't even work in seconds. We worked in hours. We worked in weeks. We weren't even at a level to work on it at a certain time. So this was a different way of thinking. It was mind blowing for us. And with so many ideas we wanted to do, but we didn't have time to do them all. That was our biggest problem. We needed
Yeah.
more time to do all these things, but probably after Japan was the biggest time for me. And we started to a big change they did do was your customer. It was in the book to do it away, but we didn't get it. Like connecting your customer, internal and external. We used to work like nearly against our customers who were our suppliers. Like we were to shred them for not giving it the park in the correct time, but we started learning lean. We invited them to the factory to come and see us to see what we do, to show them our process. Before we didn't show them, we just told them what we needed and how much we needed of it. But they weren't there to help us. We were just there to give it to us. Them using lean, we were like, no, we need to connect their suppliers. So we brought them in, gave them lunch, cup of tea, and we talked to them to see if they could help us. Before we didn't do that. So there's so much help even beyond lean within your supplier network and your customers who can help you. We didn't even tap into that at the very start, and then we did. Like, used to be containers leaving. The lorry man be late, and then people stay on late. Then I got his WhatsApp number, and I used to ring him and text him. Then it was arriving in time because he cared about us. There was a meaning to it, there was a person behind it. It wasn't just a company. Things started to change then, and when I started seeing the people side of things, it helped us, it helped me, because I realized that it is a culture, and it's a people system.
Yeah.
Once you get people on board and you care about them, the product will be made quicker and your life will be made easier.